Specifically about the weekend. 5-2 on Friday night, and that's probably the toughest pill to swallow out of the weekend. Mississippi State had a 2-1 lead, and LSU was down to its final strike on Friday night before Trey Morgan got a 2-run single up the middle to make it 3-2, and then Dylan Cruz hit a 2-run home run to score Morgan and make it 5-2, and then who was it? It was Paul Gervais who came on and pitched the final inning, got a couple of strikeouts. Mississippi State didn't threaten much in the bottom of the ninth inning. Was that the most difficult one of the weekend, hey, Dad, given that it was down to the final strike?
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, when it happened, you thought, okay, they're probably going to get swept because I don't know how – I don't feel like this team – I hate to be so critical, but I don't know. I didn't feel like they had the mental toughness to overcome that loss. I felt like when they lost that game in that fashion, to me, that set the tone for the entire weekend. If they win that game, I think they have the confidence to go out there and get it done on Saturday and, go from there. But I think that just – I mean, you watch Jackson Fristow melt down in real time. You saw it happen. When he didn't get that strike 3 called, you saw him unravel right there. And that's tough to watch. It's tough to watch. And we talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but how different is your opinion of Jackson Fristow if that strike is called? And I thought it was a ball. I thought it was a good call. But if he gets the strike out there, you're talking about him. It's like, okay, he's figured it out. He was throwing 94, 95, 96. He's going to be one of the better closers in the league this year. But instead, you're talking about him. And Chris Lamona sort of hit on it. He said, I'm still going to pitch him, but I guarantee most Mississippi State fans would be happy if they never saw him on the mound in a pressure situation again. That's obviously not going to be the case because, as Chris Lamona said, the talent is clearly there. The guy, you don't just have guys that you pull off the street throwing 96 miles an hour. Same thing sort of with Stinnett on Sunday or on Saturday. Obviously got off to an awful start, but then he got a couple of outs, and then with 2 outs he gives up a 2-out single, and they pulled him out of the game. And I found myself wondering if he had gotten out of the inning, how would that have gone? Would they have sent him back out there for the second? I don't know. Stinnett's a guy. I don't see how you put him back out there. He's thrown his last 2 starts. He's thrown a combined 2 1/3 innings. I don't see him being part of this rotation going forward. At least just for me, I don't.
It's a great pitcher's duel on Friday night. Mikhail Hilliard for LSU went 6 innings. He gave up 10 hits, but he managed to hold Mississippi State to 2 earned runs.
And there was one point, I think, State had 5 hits in the game, but 4 of them were infield singles. I mean, they were not driving the baseball at all that last weekend.
Well, the flip side, Preston Johnson, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run. He had 10 strikeouts in the game.
And they scored that run in an inning where they didn't have a hit.
Casey Hunt gives you 2 innings, and then you talk about the 9th inning with Fristow, and ultimately he takes the loss.
Yeah. You mentioned the 2 hits. They were the first 2 batters of the game. First batter, Trey Morgan gets an infield single. Dylan Cruz has a little sawed-off blooper that drops in shallow left. They didn't have another hit until you got to the bottom of the 9th with the 2-run single.
Based on how Friday night ended, I'm assuming there was a little bit of a feeling of dread in the ballpark when LSU goes out and they score 3 in the top of the first on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. You thought, okay. Well, it goes back to what I just said. I think a lot of fans were, and what I asked Chris Lamonis about, I think that fans were sort of waiting on the other shoe to drop. And when they go up 3-0 on that Jacob Berry home run, you're just looking around going, it's going to be really ugly today. And I give State credit. They got back into the game.
Yeah, immediately.
They tied it. Yeah, they tied it up. R.J. Yeager, leadoff hitter, has been such an issue for State all year. They figured that out. Yeager will lead off the rest of the year. He's really hot right now, playing good ball. He had home runs on Saturday and Sunday.
So hot right now.
So hot. But Yeager bombs. So hot. But it just wasn't enough. They tied the game up on a Cam James home run. They go 3-3. And then Brandon Smith makes the only mistake he made all day and gives up a solo shot immediately to make it 4-3 LSU, and it just stayed there from there. And State had so many opportunities. It was painful at times to watch.
Yeah, and I mean, you out-hit LSU. They have 2 more errors. LSU had 3 errors in that game. That's a game you expect to win. You get more hits. The other team
Same
goes
Friday.
3 errors. You have base runners. You expect to win.
Friday and Saturday, State had more hits and fewer errors and lost both games.
10 hits to 6 on Friday. Now, the State did make 2 errors. LSU did not make an error on Friday. But your point about hits.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
State was 2 runs, 10 hits, 2 errors on Friday night.
So here's a question. At what point, because when you have bad averages with runners in scoring position, although it does coincide generally with bad averages, but at what point does that become correctable and become who you are? Because I've had that conversation a few times since the games ended on Sunday. Ole Miss fans and then State fans on the live stream last night. Well, all they have to do is get a couple of hits and they win the series. The runners were there. They were on base. They were in scoring position. We just didn't get hits. Once we start getting hits in that moment, then we'll start winning games. But at what point is that who you are as opposed to that's what we – you know what I mean? Does that question make sense?
I think fans rationalize that in baseball more than any other sport. You never hear a fan say, well, if we just scored a couple more touchdowns – we would have won. Or, if we were just a better shooting team, we would have won. Nobody ever says that about those sports. But in baseball, it's always like, well, if we could have had a couple more hits. Well, no crap. If you had a couple more hits. That's probably the story of every baseball game that's ever been played, or nearly all of them. So outside of the real blowouts in this world. So, yeah, when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, well, I probably would use a stronger word than crap, to be totally honest with you. But, yeah. I mean, this team right now can't hit. When they get good, and this is, and I said this on the podcast, and I was talking to somebody about it on Saturday, the hallmark of a bad team is this. When they hit, they can't pitch, and when they pitch, they can't hit. That's what Mississippi State is. You'll have a game where they'll score 10 runs, but by golly, they're going to give up 11. Or in a game where they only give up 4 runs, they can't get but 3, and they can't drive anybody in from scoring position. That's what this team is right now.
And then yesterday, the wheels kind of came off in Game 3. State goes up 1-0. LSU makes it 1-1 in the third. And then it's a big 5th inning. 5 runs in the 5th for LSU, and they get a run in the 6th, and they get 2 in the 7th, and they get 4 in the 8th, and you look up and it's 13-3.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like you said, the wheels just sort of fell off there. And so I think it's Chase here. Yeah, he made a good point. State can't even get productive outs. I mean, I can't tell you how many times they're just striking out with guys on third base in less than 2 outs. You just got to hit the ball to the outfield. Just hit a ground ball the opposite way, and you're probably going to score a run. They couldn't even do that. That's rough.
Yeah. This defies logic. A game that had 16 runs and 23 hits and a combined 8 pitchers, and it's played in under 3 hours. I don't know how that happens.
I don't know. It was quick. It was really quick. It didn't feel quick sitting there
for a 13-3 game.
It didn't feel that quick sitting there in my seat. But that's the first time I've been in the stadium as a fan too, in the new stadium. So that was enjoyable. But
how'd you like it?
It was fantastic. My buddy Brandon Walker's in town. And he's like, going to come to he's like, forego your job and come sit with me. And I was like, okay, sure. And he's like, oh, you can do that? I was like, yeah, I don't have to cover these games, man. I just do it because I enjoy it and I think it helps my coverage. But I'll go to the game and just sit there. It's the same thing. So there's just no Twitter.
It's 10 times more enjoyable to go to a game and not sit in the press box, free food aside.
Yeah, free food is meaningless. Yeah, just to go sit, put my feet up, got some sun.
Be amongst the people.
Yeah. I had somebody, I'm walking out, they're like, hey, aren't you, and I'm ready for it. They're like, Rhino?
Yes!
Did you go with yes or like?
No, I thought my beard is not nearly as luxurious as Rhino's is.
Yeah. Do you have good seats?
Great seats. I was 2 rows behind the dugout. I'm surprised Lamonis didn't see me sitting there.
You should have waved. Hey, Chris.
I'm like, hey.
Talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Did you just soak it in, or did you like yell and scream and?
I mean, I didn't, because I
become angry.
The game got out of hand a couple times. There were a couple of calls. I was like, what are they doing? But it was nothing like.
Wait, hold on. You were like, well, what are they doing? Or you got up out of your chair, come on, Blue, you're blowing the game.
There were a couple of subdued come on Blues. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had fun.